If you're a mom or a dad like me and have an infant or a toddler in the backseat of your car, I know you've at least wondered at some point what your child is doing back there. What was that noise? Or if there's something in particular that's making them upset or cry, all while driving your car on the freeway, on the highway, wherever it is. My wife and I certainly have. It's what's prompted me and some of the editors at Car Audio Now to start to research and test some car baby monitors. And today I have one of our favorites at the moment. It's Yada Digital Tiny Traveler. And today I'm gonna unbox this for you, show you what it's all about, and then install it in my wife's SUV to give you an idea of how simple it is to install, the quality of the image, and so on. Let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Cameron again with Car Audio Now, and what you see in front of you here today is Yada's Digital Tiny Traveler baby monitor. This is for your car. You can find this on Amazon for about 145 bucks right now. I'll leave a link in the description for you. A little bit about this unit before I start to unbox it and show you a little bit more. This is a wireless monitor, meaning you need to supply power to both the monitor and the included camera, but you don't have to actually connect the two together. You don't have to connect the camera directly to the monitor in order to get video feed. It's wirelessly paired to the screen. The camera is wirelessly paired to the screen from the factory. This was a key selling point for me because I wanted as little of wiring in the car and as easy as installation as possible. This unit comes with a 4.3-inch color monitor that can be mounted to your windshield via a suction mount. I also really like this feature because I didn't want the monitor to sit on top of the dash of my car, and using the suction mount for the monitor, you can position it wherever you would like, kind of on your windshield. I'll show you that in a moment when I go to install it. The camera that's included in this kit offers HD resolution. I'll tell you what I think about the video and the resolution quality once I install it, but it also comes with night vision as well, which is a feature that I wanted because at some point we all are going to drive at night with our children in the car, and what good is a camera if it only works during the day? The camera also has a few different options for mounting, which is nice. I'll show you those in a moment when I open up the box for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and dive on in. I'm gonna open up this box, pull everything out on the table so you can see the components that come in the box, and then walk through all of those components. Let's do it. All right, I pulled everything out of the box and laid it out on my test bench here. At the very top left, you can see the camera. This looks a lot like what you'd see in a backup camera, but a little bit different. So let's talk about this for a moment. First off, this is an adjustable camera. So if you look, it will pivot up and down. You can adjust the pitch up and down quite a bit actually, which is good for getting kind of that exact view that you want of your child, regardless of kind of the mounting height and the height of your, whether you're using the headrest position, for example, or maybe a little bit lower on the seat. This gives you some flexibility to get the right angle of your child. This has a 16-foot power cord connected to it. You can see this provides power to the camera and then plugs into a cigarette lighter in your car, wherever that might be. The camera itself here is an HD camera. That's what Yada says on the box and in the description of the product. I actually couldn't find the exact resolution, but Yada mentions that this is an HD camera. I'll do my air quotes. And they also mention it has a VGA quality image, which if you look up VGA quality is typically 640 by 480. And then finally, you'll notice these lights on the outer edge of the camera. These are the infrared lights. This is what makes your camera a night vision camera and lights up your child at nighttime. Not literally, doesn't light up. Our eyes cannot see the infrared light, but the camera can. And this is what lights up the image at nighttime and makes this a night vision camera. So let me set this back down. Next to the camera, you'll see that it comes with 3 different types of mounting options. 1, 2, 3, that's these 3 up here. First off, this is your headrest pull mount. This will mount to one of your headrest pulls in your car. So if you lift up your headrest, there's 2 pulls typically. This will mount directly to that through this hole. You can tighten it up. And then you place the camera directly on here, and I'll show you that in a moment. It's on a ball joint, and you can tighten this up or loosen it up a little bit once you fix the position, but it gives the camera some position to pivot and to direct the camera depending on where it's mounted. It's also, it's what makes it kind of flexible in terms of mounting position, but it also, worth mentioning here that this mount looks pretty flexible in terms of the headrest pull width. So the diameter of your headrest pull might differ from car to car. You can loosen this up. You can take these rubber mounts in or out to make it fit your headrest pull. So they use these little rubber shims to make it pretty universal. Next to this, you have it's a headrest strap mount. It's all bundled up right now. Let me pull this off and show you what this looks like. But this will strap to the outside of your headrest, the actual cushion. So as I open this up, you might start to see that there's some lengthy straps here. This will actually strap around the entire top and side of your headrest and fix the camera to the back or the front of the headrest. You can see there's 4. This goes over the top. This goes around the side, and you'll use these clips or clamps to tighten or loosen the straps depending on how big your headrest is. And then you tighten it up. Pretty straightforward, very universal if you didn't want to use your headrest pull mount. And then below this, the third one is actually a straight pull mount with a suction cup. Now, this one can probably be used to mount, what I can think of at least, is to mount to the side of the window, next to your child, or really any flat surface that a typical suction cup might be able to mount to. But it really doesn't have any adjustable functionality to it. It's just a straight pull. But you have the option if you wanted to mount it to somewhere like a flat surface on the side. It could technically be probably mounted to a windshield as well. Now to fix the camera to one of these mounts, I'm just going to use this headrest mount to demonstrate. You're going to take the back side of the camera. You can see here there is a slide-in notch that you can take the notch from your mount, place it in, slide it into place, and you can hear it clicks in. Very straightforward. That's the same as the other mounts as well, with the exception of the headrest straps. You can see this would just slide. It would slide into the same position, just a little bit of a different mechanism to mount it. And then to pull it out, simply pull, and you can set aside or you can interchange them. Now below the mess that I made up here with the camera mounts is the screen. it still has this film on there. I'll remove that when I put it in the vehicle. This is a 4.3 inch TFT color monitor. Yada doesn't list the exact resolution here either for this. I mentioned that they call out VGA quality on the box. So I would also assume that 640 by 480 resolution, like I mentioned earlier for the camera, that's what's going to be displayed on the screen here. On the monitor, you'll find some of the standard buttons on the top here. I'll go through some of these when I hook it up to power, but basically you have your positive and negative. That's what you use in the settings to adjust the brightness. This is the menu, power. Again, I'll go through those when I plug it in. And then similar to this camera, you can see on my left here, this is a separate power source. This also connects to a cigarette lighter style 12 volt DC power cord that you'll need to hook up to your vehicle too. And that will plug in on your side right here, like so. To the right, you can see a separate mount. They provide one mount for the screen. This is your windshield mount. Now you can see this is a little different. The mounting mechanism is a little different, the notches, than like the camera. So you can't use this for the camera or vice versa. This is the only one that you can use for this screen. So you'll mount this to your windshield, or you can mount it to the screen first. And then similar to the camera, you're just gonna slide it into place and it's gonna click into place. What I like about this mount is that it has multiple ways of adjusting. You can adjust it like so, right? And that could be vertically, or you can adjust it, you know, side to side, right? So that lets you really position this screen, you know, whether you want it on the bottom left-hand side of your windshield over here, or maybe on the right or on the top, wherever you want it. This mount will allow you to give, well, it has the flexibility to mount it really anywhere and get the position right for the screen. Set this down. One of the things that I'll call out here that I don't necessarily like so much about this kit out of the gate here is the need for two separate cigarette lighter plugs. I think many of the newer vehicles are ditching these older plugs in general, particularly in the rear of the vehicle, or just don't have two of them available. You know, it's not necessarily, I wouldn't consider that an abundant, like a very common thing, especially in some of the newer vehicles, but it's not out of the normal to have two of them. But what I don't like is that there isn't an ability to plug it into the USB, which is becoming more and more common, USB and USB-C. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this camera, and maybe be prepared to either purchase a splitter or a USB adapter. They have adapters that go from, you know, this type of plug into a USB that you can leverage wherever in your vehicle too. I'll leave some of those Amazon links in the description below, but those typically range from $8 to $12 for something that will work reasonably or just fine. And then the last thing all the way over here I'll mention is the installation manual. Some details here about the components, along with how to use each of those mounting positions or the types of mounting mechanisms that I already went through, wiring it, what those different buttons on the top of the screen mean, maintenance, you know, those sort of things, the warranty card. But they also provide you with an extra fuse. So let's say that there was a wiring issue. Not only does this help protect your devices, but you know, it also gives you a sense of whether there's an issue in your wiring. So this actually goes into the cigarette lighter style plugs. So they provide you with an extra one of those, which is nice. But the next thing I'm gonna do is go install this into my wife's car. I'm gonna mount the camera, I'm gonna mount the screen and show you what it looks like firsthand in the car and what I think about it. So let me move out to the car and give you a look at the install, how easy it is, and just in general what I think about the product, the quality of the camera, the clarity of the screen, and so on. So let me go do that. All right, so I'm now in my my truck. I'm actually going to be demonstrating the installation in my F-150 here. So what I'm going to first do, what you see on the center console here, I'm using the windshield mount. Obviously that's the main mount that comes for the screen, and with the camera I'm actually going to be using the headrest headrest pole mount. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how simple this really is to install in a vehicle like this that has a cigarette lighter and accessory port, both on the dash over here, but as well as on the center console. It makes it very, very simple. So let me go ahead and get started with that, starting with the screen here. So the screen here, I'm choosing to mount this on the bottom left-hand corner of the windshield all the way down there. It's pretty far out of view. It's not going to impede anything on the center part of my dash or on my windshield. First thing I'm going to do is place this on the windshield mount. I'm going to use it just like so, and I'll do this by using the mount to slide it into place, click, right? And then the next thing I'm going to do is mount the suction cup straight to the windshield. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm just going to adjust it upwards to the position that I want it and tighten up the screws. All right. So now it's in position. Next thing I got to do is run power. So I'm going to take the power cord. This is for the screen, obviously. And on this vehicle, I have an accessory or a cigarette lighter right on the corner here. So what I'm going to do, just for demonstrations purposes, I'm going to plug it in here, and then I'm going to run it along the dash to the side to get power to that screen. So let's do that. Plug that in. And now just run this temporarily. And you can run this along your door panel. You can run it wherever makes sense for your particular vehicle. This is just temporary. And I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the side. Like so. Pretty quick. Took all but a minute. So the next thing I'm going to do here, time for the camera. So I'm going to go install this on my rear passenger camera, and I'll show you what the back looks like with the children's seat and where I'm going to mount this. Here's a quick look at the back seat. Actually, I have two children's seats in the back here, but I'm going to install it to take a look at this one, and I'm going to mount it to the back of the, or to the headrest pole right here, and it's going to be facing the car seat, facing my daughter all the time while she's in this seat. Mounting the mount to the headrest post is pretty simple. So to unclip this, you're simply going to loosen up this knob. You're going to pull this like this, and that allows you to clamp on to the headrest post. And then you're going to slide it around like so. Make sure that the rubber grommet that's inside is still in place. Snap it in place and tighten. Now let's take the camera, and you can see the slot is facing downwards, and I can slide it straight onto the slot on the mount and clip it into place. Now, if the ball joint is a little too loose, I can simply tighten up the ball joint here as I'm positioning exactly where the camera is going to be looking at. And your final adjustments will likely be made after you have power hooked up and the screen is working. And that's when you'll be able to see exactly where the camera is facing and where you want to position. But for now, I'm going to face it relatively directly towards where I think my daughter is going to be sitting. And then the last step here is to take and plug in the power. And now on this vehicle, I happen to have an accessory or a cigarette lighter on the center console. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in. And now the camera is wired and plugged in, and so is my screen, which I wired up and plugged in a moment ago. So let's turn this thing on and see what it looks like and what the quality of the image looks like. So now everything is on. You can see the screen is on. It's facing my child. This is a little doll that I put in there just to demonstrate. So the screen is on. It's paired with my camera, which is facing my child in the seat. Now let's just go through a couple things with the screen. Quality wise, I feel like the resolution is okay. It's good enough to see exactly what's going on back there, but I wouldn't call this, 1080p or high definition. I think HD is what Yada considers this. It's moderate resolution, but it's plenty good. You can get a sense, and there might be a little bit of glare with the video that I'm taking. So take the image or the video of the image with a grain of salt here. But let's go through a couple settings if you wanted to change the contrast or the brightness, for example. There's a menu button at the top, and you can see you have options to change contrast, brightness, or pair the camera if it's not paired or becomes unpaired. And then to select one, you're going to select the enter button, which is 2 buttons to the right of the menu. So center is power here. I'm going to click on the select, and then you can see there's a little bar down here where I'm going to change the contrast, and you can see it changing as I do this. And I'm trying to get it to look as normal as possible. That's where I'm going to leave it. Now if I go out again, menu, now I'm going to select brightness. So if I wanted to change brightness, you can bring it a little lighter. And again, my goal here is just to get it to as close as possible to what it looks like when I look behind me. So that's where I'm going to leave it. So that's all I had for you. Overall, I was pretty impressed with the unit. It's $145. It gives me enough resolution. I like the wireless feature. The price point is right. The camera installation and the installation of the screen is very straightforward. Took me all but 5 minutes. I mentioned this earlier. You need two separate cigarette lighters in order to make this work, or you need to purchase a splitter if you only have one. They give you plenty of wire to wire the camera and the screen up into the same area. I think it was 16 feet. Overall, this did the job for me. It gives me the exact look and the angle that I want of my child. It's super universal to mount anywhere too. So that's all I had for you today. Thanks for watching. If you like the content of this video, do me a favor, subscribe to our channel. Thanks again.